Now, we had a look at CSS transition at this component in the last lecture. There I explained that we set up this base class name, this trunk of our CSS classes, and the CSS transition component would then automatically expand this to a couple of different CSS classes. And that's the case. For some reason, you could also want to make sure that you still use modal open and modal closed, so that you essentially don't have to define these classes. For that reason, you can not only pass a string with your trunk here to class names, you can also pass a JavaScript object. And in this object, you can manually define various CSS classes that should be used for the different hooks. So there, in this object you pass to class name, you can define enter, enter active, exit, and exit active. And there actually are two more, appear and appear active, which you don't have to define. They also would have been added to your trunk. These are used, so appear and appear active is used for the first time something is rendered to the DOM, not when doing it conditionally by rendering it, for example, upon a button click or not, but if you hard-coded it into the DOM, like in our app.js, the h1 and the button is, so if it's always there, but if the application loads, that's of course the first time this gets mounted to the DOM, and you could animate this with appear. But appear is not what I want to focus on here. Instead, if you say for enter, I don't want to attach anything, then you wouldn't have to define it, or you just define an empty string. For enter active, you could now define the specific CSS class you want to add, like modal open. And then with that, you can break out of this schema of having a trunk and then dash enter active, and so on. So with this setup, you can define your own CSS classes, which should get added or should get used. Modal closed is the closing class. And with that, if we save this and we now open the modal, you see we got the same animations as before, but now we're using our own CSS classes. So that's a tiny addition. This is some flexibility you have to really fine-tune this to your needs.